Julian Hastings' little bird was throwing another tantrum. He handed me the divorce papers. Sign them, just for show, to appease the girl. I clutched the hem of my skirt tightly and nodded. Quietly, I signed my name. As I was leaving, I heard his friends joking. "Isn't Josephine a bit too well behaved? Reckon if you told her to get the marriage certificate annulled right now, she wouldn't make a peep." Julian lit a cigarette, pleased. "Wanna bet?" They made a bet. In 1 month, at the registry office, I'd be crying my eyes out, but I'd still obediently swap our marriage certificate for divorce papers. I gripped my phone, saying nothing. I just replied to the message that had just arrived. "Can't you just marry me instead?" "Yes." The reply came back almost instantly. I put my phone away. The sounds of laughter and conversation continued inside. "All right then, if Josephine is really that obedient, drinks for everyone next month are on me." 3 months, Julian said. Done, a chorus of laughter and rowdiness. I stumbled out frantically. Only when I stepped out of the office building and the sharp sunlight hit my eyes did the tears start streaming down. Julian Hastings had taken a fancy to a young woman, still a student. He bought her an apartment in the city, filled to the brim with luxury goods, but the girl wouldn't let him kiss her, wouldn't let him hold her. She lived in a sprawling 360-square-meter apartment, wore custom haute couture worth over $1 million, yet stuck her neck out saying, "I refuse to be a mistress." Julian found it incredibly amusing. This was already the 3rd time Julian had put on a show for her sake. The first time, he flaunted our affection. Back then, I didn't know Sylvia Miller existed. I happily wrapped my arms around him, taking lots of pictures. Seeing him post a full 9-picture grid made me even more surprised and expectant. But no matter how much I refreshed my social media feed, I couldn't find that post. Later, I found out he'd set it to visible only to Sylvia Miller. The second time, he picked a fight with me, left me stranded on the street, took a picture of me crying alone and sent it to Sylvia. "See? There's nothing I can do. She can't live without me." The third time he wanted to divorce me, my phone buzzed. I took it out. "Really? Are you serious?" Josephine Fairchild. I wiped away my tears and managed a small smile. "Yes, really." That afternoon, Julian did indeed take me to the registry office. He was in a good mood the entire way. He kept asking me where I wanted to go for our 3rd anniversary. Julian and I grew up together. This was the 3rd year of our marriage. "How about Prague? You've been wanting to feed the pigeons in Prague Square since you were 7. He got out of the car, opened my door, and unbuckled my seatbelt. "Tisk, have you been crying again?" He frowned, his thumb brushing the corner of my eye. "I told you it was just an act. She's just a little bird. I'm just curious to see when she'll finally give in." As he spoke, something fell out of his pocket, a box of condoms. Julian cleared his throat lightly, rubbing his nose. He didn't offer an explanation. He led me into the registry office. Everything went smoothly. I have stress-induced mutism. I often can't speak when facing strangers, but I can nod and shake my head. "Is this divorce voluntary?" "Yes," I nodded. "Do you confirm the irretrievable breakdown of the marriage?" "Yes," I nodded. "There's a 1-month cooling-off period. Come back in a month." Julian took the receipt slip. He snapped a photo of it before even leaving the building and started texting. A message arrived on my phone almost immediately. From Sylvia, just like before. A picture of the receipt slip Julian had sent her, with an added sentence. Satisfied? Make sure you're clean for me tonight. I tapped her profile picture and blocked her. Just as I finished, a flight booking confirmation arrived via text, followed by a WeChat message, "Flight booked, 1 month from now, see you in Paris." 3. That night, I dreamt of Julian again. The Julian from our childhood was sweet-tongued. "Josie, your eyes are so beautiful. Can I look at them often when I talk to you?" "Josie, you play the piano so well. Can I come listen to your concert every day?" "Josie, I like you the most when we grow up. I want to marry you." I liked Julian too. We had to sit together in school. We had to play together after school. Even when my parents had their car crash, I was in his family's car, playing rock, paper, scissors with him, but the 2 cars were too close. I saw the large truck swerve across the road with my own eyes. Boom, my father, my mother, my brother, even the little dog I'd raised since I was small, were struggling in a sea of fire. For a long time, I couldn't make a sound. I needed Julian beside me to fall asleep. The Julian back then was very patient. He helped me practice speaking. He told me stories all night long. If anyone dared to taunt me as a mute girl, he'd punch them. Marrying him felt like the most natural thing in the world. The day after I received my university diploma, he was leaning over my bed early in the morning. "Josie, let's go get another certificate, okay?" That day, we became husband and wife. In my dream, a sea of red roses filled our new home. He knelt on the bed, kissing me gently. He said, "Josie, we'll be this happy forever." But when I opened my eyes, the world was black. I fumbled for my phone. Sylvia had sent another text, a photo, a messy bed, a smear of crimson. Sudden nausea washed over me. I rushed to the bathroom and dry heaved, but only physiological tears came out. Finally, I sat huddled on the cold floor, hugging my knees. I don't know what I touched on my phone, but in the silent night, a low male voice suddenly spoke. "Josephine Fairchild?" My heart leaped. I picked up the phone. "Adrian, Blackwood." Adrian Blackwood was someone I knew from a support group. After 3 years of therapy at the hospital, my mutism had improved significantly. Only when I was feeling down or nervous did I struggle to speak. During the 2 years I was married to Julian, I was almost completely cured. I was happy and had free time. I joined a patient support group online. The person I was assigned to support was Adrian Blackwood. Actually, for 2 years, I thought he was a girl, a pink bunny avatar, WeChat name Angel. At first, she barely responded to me, but kindred spirits understand each other. People troubled by long-term mutism often carry deep psychological trauma. They might not be able to speak, but they need company. I tirelessly shared my daily life with her. From text messages to voice notes. From photos to videos. Sharing until we felt like old friends who had known each other for years. So much so that the first time we spoke on the phone and I discovered she was male, I was so shocked I almost had a relapse on the spot. Sorry, I clutched the phone, did I? "Disturb your rest." "No," Adrian said, "it's 9 p.m. here." He spoke so fluently now. This was only the second time we had spoken on the phone. After discovering he was male, I deliberately kept my distance. That day was purely accidental. I hadn't contacted him in almost a month. It just so happened that, when Julian handed me the divorce papers, he asked what I was doing. My mind went blank, hammered by the words "divorce papers." I just replied, "Getting divorced." After signing, I hid outside Julian's office, trembling all over. "Adrian Blackwood, I think. I'm going to lose my home." No father, no mother, no brother, no cute little dog. Now, even Julian was gone. What should I do? I never expected him to suddenly say, "Then can't you just marry me instead?" The mocking laughter inside the room grew louder. "Don't be ridiculous. Josephine can barely speak without Julian. How could she actually go through with getting the divorce papers? Yeah, if she really had to get divorced, she'd probably cry the registry office down. Is that so?" Julian scoffed. He tossed his lighter onto the coffee table. "Even if she cries like a dog, she'll only ever be Julian Hastings' dog. If I tell her to go east, she'll crawl east." I stared blankly through the crack in the door at the man who had become a stranger. Yes, 5 Adrian Blackwood sent me a list. Things to do within the month. Getting a visa and finding a lawyer were obvious entries, but it also included a dense list of must-try restaurants. The Chinese food abroad isn't great. Seriously. I accepted gladly. Following his list, I ate my way through the restaurants, one by one. Being alone didn't seem so bad after all. Eating, shopping, then packing my things each day. The day I moved out of the marital home, Julian suddenly messaged me. Not even a phone call, "Don't you miss me?" He had taken Sylvia traveling. Said he was showing the young lady the world. Naughty girl. He sent another message, followed by a photo. "This place is nice. How about I take you here for our 3rd anniversary too?" I wanted to block him just like I'd blocked Sylvia. But thinking I still needed to go to the registry office to get the final divorce papers, I decided against it. Over the next half-month, I sold off my smaller pieces of jewelry and handbags. I went to the hospital for a checkup, confirmed I wasn't pregnant. Finally, I organized all the assets Julian had entrusted to my care over the years. The night before going to the registry office, Julian came back. He called me. "Josie, you moved out?" 6. Accustomed to my silence on the phone, he chuckled to himself. "Josie, you're too cute. I told you it was just an act." How about this? He was clearly in a good mood. Let's see the act through to the end. Tomorrow, you come with me to the registry office, and we get the divorce papers. I held the phone tightly. Josie, don't worry, it's just… Okay, I said. Whoa, catcalls erupted from his end. I hung up. I sent him the time via WeChat. The next day, I woke up early. Julian arrived late. Probably Sylvia's doing. There was a faint but noticeable bite mark near his lip. He acted like it wasn't there. I pretended not to see it either. The procedure was even smoother than the last time, over in less than 5 minutes. Josie, I have a surprise for you tomorrow. Julian gently tapped my calf with his foot. I put away the divorce certificate. Julian, are you free tonight? I looked at him. There are some things I want to talk to you about. Julian froze. Ever since we got married, I had always called him hubby. The next moment, his charming eyes curved into crescents as he flicked the red divorce booklet in his hand. Sure. 7. Regardless of how Julian had behaved this past year, I didn't want to deny the Julian of the past. I was grateful for his many years of companionship, thankful for the care he once showed me. So, actually, I hadn't planned on leaving without saying goodbye. But it rained that night. Thunder and lightning. I'm terrified of nights like this. The car crash happened during a storm just like it. I fought the trembling in my body, waiting for Julian. I even worried slightly that when Julian appeared, my years of habit would make me shatter the mental defenses I'd painstakingly built over the past month, and I'd throw myself into his arms crying. But he didn't come. He called me instead. When the call connected, his end was noisy. Redemption? What bullshit. I was so damn annoyed by her those years. If my mom hadn't forced me, I wouldn't have bothered with her. Marriage? Guess why we got married so early? It was because she wouldn't let me touch her. I was just curious. Doesn't she lose her voice when she gets emotional? What about in bed? Can she make sounds then? Ha ha ha. Crash boom. It felt like something on this stormy night was torn to shreds once again. I wanted to hide. I didn't want anyone to see me in such a state. But where could I hide? No matter where I went, there was rain, there was lightning. There was mockery everywhere. Adrian Blackwood's call came through right then. Josephine Fairchild? His voice was always so calm, making the noisy voices seem to instantly recede. Are you crying? I wanted to say no, but I couldn't make a sound. As if responding to his words, tears burst forth like a broken dam. Wait there, he remained calm. I'm coming to get you. 8. The second young master of the Hastings family was single again. A group of young heirs organized a bachelor party, drinking themselves into oblivion at a karaoke club. A row of them passed out. Sometime later, someone groggily fumbled for their phone. Holy crap, big news! His shout woke a few others. That precious head of Blackwood Corp, Adrian Blackwood, actually showed up in the city, flew back overnight on a private jet. One guy waved his hand hazily. No way, didn't they say he was recuperating abroad? Haven't seen him in 10 years. It's true, it's trending online. The phone was passed around. The previously quiet atmosphere livened up again. It really is him, and he's got his arm around a girl, says he flew back overnight to take her abroad. Whoa, didn't even have time for PR damage control. How urgent was it? Let me see. Tusk, this girl. She looks kinda familiar. Julian, someone nudged Julian Hastings. Look, the girl in Adrian Blackwood's arms, doesn't she look like Josephine? Julian had actually been awake for a while, but he didn't like seeing news about the Blackwood family. How could it be Josephine? He took the phone impatiently. Josephine doesn't even dare leave the city, let alone go abroad. But a glance at the photo made him freeze. The airport was drenched in heavy rain. Under a black umbrella, the man stood tall and slender, his features sharp and cold. He shielded the girl in his arms completely from view, but he knew Josephine Fairchild too well. Her figure, the color of her hair, impossible. Julian threw the phone down with a snap. How could Josie possibly know someone like Adrian Blackwood? She had even asked him to meet at her apartment tonight, probably missed him terribly after not seeing him for a month. Julian took a cigarette from his case, lit it, took out his own phone, found Josephine Fairchild's number just about to dial. He glanced at the time on the screen. 3 a.m. Never mind, she'd be asleep at this hour. Although, no matter the time, Josie would always answer his calls. Julian lit up the screen again. Dialed. Sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service. 9. After the car crash, I never left the city. All forms of transport terrified me. Going to a completely unfamiliar place would make me extremely anxious. Sitting next to Adrian Blackwood, I nervously fidgeted with my hands. He was so tall. Even sitting in the back seat, he was a head taller than me. He looked very serious. When the driver spoke to him, he replied with only one or two clipped words. He seemed to be some kind of important celebrity. Just now at the city airport, reporters had surrounded us completely. Shouting, "Mr. Blackwood," over and over, was I, being impulsive. I only learned the name, Adrian Blackwood, after our first phone call. Paris was a city I wouldn't have dared dream of before. The person beside me suddenly moved. He took something out of his pocket and offered it to me. "Want one?" "A candy." The wrapper had a pink bunny printed on it. Memories immediately flooded back to 2 years ago when I tirelessly tried to talk to her. "Sister, do you like candy?" "I tried a new kind of candy recently. It's delicious. It's chewy and soft with a light peach fragrance. If you want some, give me an address, I'll mail you a jar." She replied with an English address. That was the first time she had ever responded to me. The feeling of unfamiliarity suddenly dissipated. This bunny candy, I searched for it for ages back then. Based on his WeChat avatar, just wanting to cheer up this reclusive sister. "Shall I unwrap it for you?" He didn't seem so unapproachable after all. His voice was gentle, his eyes held a soft light. Before I could nod, he had already skillfully unwrapped the candy. I took the candy and popped it into my mouth. The familiar taste spread from the tip of my tongue. Every pore in my body relaxed. 10. I actually managed to settle down in a completely unfamiliar place. Adrian Blackwood arranged for me to stay in his apartment, but he seemed very busy and was rarely home. During the first week after adjusting to the time difference, he had a talk with me. "Josephine, what kind of work do you want to do?" His question stunned me. Julian wouldn't let me work outside. "You can't even speak clearly when you're nervous. What kind of job could you do?" "Be good, just stay home, tend to the flowers and plants. It's not like we're short of your little bit of money, right?" But Adrian held his coffee cup. "You haven't started your language studies yet, but there are quite a few Chinese people in Paris." I clasped my hands together. Can I?" Adrian raised an eyebrow. "How will you know if you don't try?" And then I actually found a job, teaching Mandarin to a Chinese descendant child. It was just an ordinary tutoring job, but I felt a long-forgotten happiness. So happy that I wanted to share with my few close friends that maybe I wasn't so useless after all. As soon as I logged into WeChat, messages flooded in like snowflakes. "Josie, where did you go?" "Julian is going crazy looking for you 11. Julian was looking for me. The night I left with Adrian, I wasn't in a good state, so he handled the follow-up for me. The asset documents I originally intended to return to Julian were all sent to the Hastings family estate. The assets that needed managing were entrusted to the lawyer I had previously found. The follow-up matters regarding the divorce were naturally handed over to the lawyer as well. Other things, like my phone card, Adrian simply canceled. If Julian needed anything, he should contact the lawyer, not me. I was deleting those messages one by one when a voice call came in. My hand slipped, and I accidentally accepted it. "Josephine Fairchild, what the hell are you playing at?" Julian's voice burst out. "Someone stole your phone, right? If it was stolen, don't you know how to buy a new one? If you bought a new one, don't you know how to call me? Don't you know my number by heart?" I held the phone quietly. "And where did you go? Why did you send all that stuff to the family estate? Do you still want to celebrate our 3rd anniversary or not?" "Julian Hastings," I managed to say his name quite easily. "We are already divorced." Before he could say another word, I hung up. "Josie, how many times have I told you it was an act? Didn't you understand? What's your new phone number? Send it to me. Add me back on WeChat too. Do you want to stay in touch with me or not?" Messages popped up one after another. I tapped his profile picture and blocked him. Then I went through my contact list and found all of Julian's friends, blocked them all. 12. A new environment really does seem to make letting go easier. On the way back, I bought a small cake. After all, Adrian and I had chatted for over 2 years. Once the initial awkwardness passed, I felt familiar with him. For instance, I knew his preferences. Lately, he seemed less busy, coming back to the apartment more often. Carrying the cake all the way, I thought, he'll probably come home today. I didn't expect him to be back so early. I had just taken out my key when the door opened. Adrian stood there in a dazzlingly white shirt, holding a fluffy little animal. A puppy? I was so delighted I forgot what I was holding and reached out to take the puppy. Is he yours? You never mentioned him. Or does he belong to a friend? He's so cute. He's for you, Adrian said, closing the door. I paused. Mine, instinctively, I asked. Can I? Julian didn't allow me to have pets. He said the house would be full of fur and have a strange smell. But Adrian said, why not? It felt like a small firework went off in my heart with a pop. I was going to have my own puppy again. I brought you a small cake. I handed the cake to Adrian and went to the sofa to play with the puppy. My first puppy was a birthday gift from my parents. My brother helped them pick him out. Back then, it felt like I never knew what worries were, so much so that I always feel, seeing a puppy makes all troubles disappear. I looked up. It seemed I wasn't the only one in a good mood. Adrian sat beside me, the corners of his lips slightly turned up. He was quietly eating the small cake, bite by bite. Sister, you got cream on yourself. I stood up, about to grab a tissue, when I suddenly realized. I was too relaxed, I'd used the wrong name. Sister? Adrian's voice came closer. His presence drew nearer, too close. The puppy let out a little ow and ran off. I glanced up slightly, met by a handsome face, and felt the firm muscle beneath my hand. For a moment, all I could hear was my own heartbeat. I wanted to pull back, but Adrian held the back of my head, kissing me insistently. Josie, have you forgotten something? My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would explode. My face burned, making my head feel a bit dizzy, but he kissed me again. This time, it was light, gentle. His voice was low and husky. When are we going to register our marriage? Today or tomorrow? 13. I don't know how it happened. Kissed into a daze, I thought, well, it's already evening. Tomorrow then. The next day, Adrian really did take me to City Hall. An old gentleman, supposedly the mayor of Paris, rattled off something in French, and I just nodded along. With a flourish of his hand, he issued us a marriage certificate. I felt a little apprehensive, but mostly a small flutter of joy. Kindred spirits understand each other. I always felt that Adrian Blackwood wouldn't be the wrong choice. The only unpleasantness was that Julian somehow found my phone number in Paris. He used a French number to call me. So you really went to Paris? He recognized my voice as soon as I answered. Josie, learned how to throw a tantrum, have you? It's been a month, haven't you had enough yet? I took a deep breath to suppress the rising emotions. Julian Hastings, please stop bothering me. Your life. What life could you possibly have? Don't think I don't know, you went to Paris to find that angel, right? A little sister who eats candy all day, aren't you ashamed to burden her? I had never hidden anything I did or any friends I made from Julian before. This has nothing to do with you. I'm your goddamn husband. If it doesn't concern me, who does it concern? I advise you to get your ass back here immediately, otherwise. I hung up directly. He sent a text message. Not coming back, huh? Fine, you've got guts. Let's see you leech off a little sister for the rest of your life. 14. I had never realized Julian could be such a despicable person. But then again, he could cheat during our marriage and brazenly ask me for a fake divorce. What kind of good person could he be? I had been blinded by childhood affection, completely muddled. That evening, many friends sent me messages again, mostly a screenshot of Julian's social media post, plus a line. What's going on with you and Julian? Julian had posted an intimate photo with Sylvia Miller on his feed, basically, publicly acknowledging his relationship with her. I couldn't be bothered to explain much. I simply posted a picture of my divorce certificate on my own feed. My university roommates group chat exploded. Holy crap, Josie, you finally woke up? I always thought there was something off about that Hastings guy. Never took you to meet his friends, never saw him post about you on his feed. Exactly, and always bringing up Josie's mutism. Josie would be talking fine with us, then he'd mention it, and Josie would genuinely get too nervous to speak. So, the signs had always been there. A few days later, the group chat exploded again. Is he sick in the head? Julian had sent each of them the same thing, a photo of a diamond ring, a screenshot of his chat with Sylvia. 3 days from now, I have a surprise for you. Are you free? And then a message he wanted relayed to me. Tell Josephine Fairchild in 3 days it's my mom's birthday banquet. If she doesn't come back to the country, I'll have my mom get a new daughter-in-law. I thought he was sick too. Ignore him. However, I did need to return to the country. That night, Adrian came home with 2 suitcases. "We need to make a trip back." I stared blankly, not comprehending. "The marriage certificate needs to be notarized back home." He gathered the documents. "Besides, I need to take you back to meet some friends and family." I instinctively wanted to ask again, Can I? As my roommate said, Julian never took me to public events. He was afraid I wouldn't be able to speak. He was afraid I would stutter. Embarrassing. "Josie!" Adrian suddenly stopped what he was doing, turned around, cupped my face with one hand, his dark eyes fixed on mine. "Josephine Fairchild, there is nothing you cannot do." A warm, tingling current flowed from my heart, slowly spreading through my entire body. So this is what a positive relationship feels like. 15. Adrian said he needed to go to the city first to handle some matters. Coincidentally, I also wanted to meet with my lawyer. So the first stop back in the country was set for the city. Unlike the torrential rain when we left, the sun was shining brightly when we landed. Adrian was very low-key. Wearing sunglasses the whole time, he held my hand and led me through the VIP channel. Over these past days, I had naturally found out who he really was. The battle for control of Blackwood Corp 12 years ago had been serialized in headlines for months. No one expected the final victor to be a young man who hadn't even graduated from university. Even less expected was that after Adrian took over Blackwood Corp, his decisive actions and unexpected strategies doubled the already massive company's size in just 2 years. I had heard the rumors about him too, but I was young then, and he had faded from the domestic scene for years, so I hadn't remembered his name. Luckily, we didn't run into reporters this time. Adrian and I smoothly arrived at the hotel. He went to the company, I caught up on sleep at the hotel, and only went to the lawyer's office after waking up. "Miss Kayo," the lawyer used my original surname initial, "your assets are being processed gradually according to your instructions. Here are a few documents that require your signature. Please take a look. These are the original contracts for the properties already sold. You can take these with you. The handling of your personal assets is proceeding smoothly, it's just." The lawyer looked a bit troubled. "Miss Kayo, you still have several properties that are marital assets shared with Mr. Hastings. According to the divorce agreement, they are to be split 50-50. But Mr. Hastings refuses to cooperate. He says you too," the lawyer cleared his throat, "aren't divorced." I frowned. "So, what do you suggest?" I nodded. "Apologies, I'll communicate with him." I took out my phone. After I had my roommates block Julian, he had created various alternate accounts, trying creative ways to add me every day. I accepted one of them. "Are you free tonight? Let's meet." Julian didn't reply quickly. He was typing for a long time. Well decided to grace the country with your presence?" 16. "Such a shame. Tonight, this young master has to accompany Sylvia shopping, no time." I looked at the message on my phone, almost laughed out loud from anger. His refusal to cooperate with the asset division wasn't insurmountable. I could simply apply to the court for enforcement. It's just that the planned time back in the country wasn't long, and I wanted things to be simpler. Perhaps seeing I hadn't replied, he sent another message. "If you want to make peace, it's not entirely impossible. Tomorrow is my mom's birthday banquet. Come and admit your mistake." He attached a hotel location pin. Utterly insane, I blocked him again. Just then, a message from Adrian arrived. "I had some gowns sent over for you, pick one. Tomorrow, I'll introduce you to some friends first." Meeting Adrian Blackwood's friends, my heart rate quickened. I immediately pushed the unpleasantness caused by Julian out of my mind, hailed a cab and went back to the hotel. 17. Adrian hadn't just sent some gowns. Several full clothing racks, plus matching shoes, jewelry, and makeup artists. They crowded the entire suite. Seeing how seriously he was taking this, I didn't dare be casual. Trying on outfit after outfit, I spent almost the entire night choosing. In the end, I picked an outfit that looked demure and low-key. Fortunately, Adrian didn't return. He hadn't been back in the country for 10 years and making a rare personal visit to the city branch office. One could imagine how busy he was. The next day, I slept through half the day again. It was already afternoon when I woke up. Got dressed, put on makeup, and Adrian's message arrived right on cue. "I've sent the driver to pick you up." As I got into the car, an unknown number called. My intuition screamed it was Julian again, so I immediately declined the call. It rang again, I declined again. Finally, blocked it. I just didn't expect that when the driver stopped the car, I would actually see Julian Hastings. He was standing at the hotel entrance, making call after call. Finally, he smashed his phone in frustration. I looked up at the hotel name. It was indeed the one Julian had sent me yesterday. Adrian's call came in timely. "Arrived. Want me to come down and get you?" His voice always had a calming effect. I glanced at Julian's dark face. "No need, I'll come up myself," perhaps hearing my voice. Julian looked over too. For a moment, the expression on his face was hard to describe. Like surprise, like ecstasy, yet mixed with a suppressed fury. He kicked away the shattered phone, his eyes red-rimmed. "Joe." But only one syllable escaped. He pressed his lips together, looked away. "Let's go." Then, with a hint of smugness, "Knew you'd come." He turned and walked ahead first. This hotel was probably booked out entirely. I suddenly realized what Adrian meant by "meet some friends." Seeing I wasn't following, Julian deliberately slowed his pace. "All right, I'll apologize first, okay?" He lowered his voice. "Isn't it just that you don't like Sylvia? I'll stop seeing her, all right." "You're so petty. The girl didn't even do anything to you." I took a deep breath, controlling my emotions. Reaching the second floor, I saw several familiar faces. Whoa, Josephine's finally back? Still takes Julian to bring her back. Such a good girl, playing runaway goldfinch, isn't that ridiculous? "Julian, there are so many people today you brought her to, aren't you afraid?" "Yeah, there's a big shot here today." Julian glared at them. "Get lost." He walked closer to me. "Consider yourself smart, knowing to dress up before coming. Later, just follow behind me. No matter what happens, don't talk, just smile, understand? Come." He held out his hand. "Let me hold yours." Speechless, I stopped in my tracks. "Julian Hastings." My voice was cold. "I didn't come for you." Julian let out a chuckle. "All right, we're already here, why keep pretending? If you didn't come for me, who did you come for?" The main hall doors opened. I saw Adrian Blackwood immediately. It wasn't his event, but he sat in the host's seat. Flanked by Julian's mother, Eleanor Hastings, and Julian's older brother, Richard, who managed the family business. Others stood or sat, drinking quietly or whispering amongst themselves. Yet they strangely formed a semicircle centered around Adrian. "See that? The one in the middle, my mom went through a lot of trouble to invite him. His wife is supposed to arrive later, too. You be good. If you embarrass the Hastings family, my mom and brother won't let you hear the end of it." Julian said this as he reached for my hand. I violently shook it off. "Josephine Fairchild," his voice wasn't soft. Many people looked over. Adrian looked over too, his gaze slightly darkening. "Julian, what's all the fuss?" Eleanor Hastings called out to Julian, but her disapproving stare was fixed on me. Julian's older brother frowned at me, then turned to Adrian with a smile. "Mrs. Blackwood should be here. Shall I go down to receive her?" someone whispered. Julian hissed at me. "Told you not to cause trouble, satisfied now? This is the first time you're meeting so many Hastings relatives. Is this the impression you want to make?" Yes. Married for 3 years, this was the first time I had met the entire Hastings family. "Josephine." Adrian suddenly called my name. "Come here." There was an empty seat between him and Eleanor Hastings. Julian froze. Eleanor and Richard Hastings were equally stunned. I walked over. "Allow me to introduce." Adrian's voice wasn't loud, but it was enough for everyone present to hear. "Josephine Fairchild." He kissed the back of my hand, then looked back at the crowd. "My wife." 18. The banquet hall fell deathly silent. Everyone seemed to have forgotten to breathe. Only Adrian Blackwood, truly accustomed to grand occasions, remained composed. "Josephine, is there anything you'd like to say?" All eyes were on me. Cold sweat prickled my back. I clutched my hands, my heart pounding relentlessly. Adrian squeezed my hand, looked into my eyes, and gave me a slight nod. "There is nothing you cannot do." I took a deep breath. "Auntie Eleanor," I addressed Julian's mother. I clenched my fist. "Julian Hastings and I divorced long ago. I don't know why he didn't tell you." Then, turning to Julian, "Julian Hastings, I have never believed that marriage and divorce could be an act. Between you and me, there is no possibility anymore." Finally, addressing the crowd, "I am already Adrian Blackwood's legal wife. From now on, I have no connection to the Hastings family." Julian stared at my hand held by Adrian, taking 2 steps back in disbelief. Adrian stood up too. He picked up a napkin from the table and slowly, meticulously wiped the hand Julian had just grabbed. My wife prefers quiet, and I am very protective. After today, I don't want to see anyone harass my wife in any way, shape, or form. Mrs. Hastings, have I made myself clear? Eleanor Hastings stared blankly, nodding repeatedly. Apologies for the intrusion. Adrian put down the napkin and took my hand, leading me away. It wasn't until we reached the elevator that my heartbeat seemed to return to normal. My legs felt weak, and I nearly stumbled. Adrian caught my waist, pressing me against the elevator wall. You made such a scene. I gasped quietly, just to stop Julian from bothering me again. Adrian cupped my face. You look beautiful today. I didn't know if he meant my appearance or my words. He leaned in and kissed me. Josie, Julian was shouting outside the elevator. Unfortunately, preoccupied with talking, I hadn't pressed a floor button. He actually managed to press the button and open the doors. Adrian swiftly pulled me into his embrace and looked back coldly. Yes. The elevator wall reflected my flushed face, and outside the elevator, Julian's stunned, almost despairing expression. I quickly pressed the button for the basement level. Before the elevator doors closed, Adrian, with a touch of malice, tilted my chin up right in front of Julian and kissed me even more forcefully. 19. Apparently, Julian was locked up by the Hastings family. They took away his phone, computer, and cut off all communication devices. They demanded he swear he wouldn't bother me again before letting him out. I returned to the capital with Adrian. We originally planned to notarize the marriage certificate, but Adrian found it troublesome and simply took me to the registry office to get a domestic one directly. I also met his friends and family. It was just like the rumors said. He was the eldest son and grandson, but his mother passed away early, and his father died of sudden cardiac arrest when he was 18. His uncles now stood no chance against him and treated me politely. His friends were also refined and courteous. Only one, probably his best mate, teased him to his face about being a late bloomer virgin. No, he was in his mid-30s and still a virgin. However, we had been married for half a month, and he indeed hadn't touched me yet. Was it because he didn't know how? Or was he worried I'd find out he didn't know how? So that night, the atmosphere was rather strange as we went to bed. One moment I wanted to touch him, the next I felt I should avoid him. What if it wasn't that he didn't know how, but that he didn't? Probably not. When he kissed me, I could still feel it. Mr. Blackwood was incredibly busy and generally hard to get close to. Maybe it was normal. Even if it wasn't normal, we were already married, I wouldn't hold it against him. What are you thinking about? Adrian suddenly turned over, pulling me into his arms. I shook my head vigorously. He lowered his head and captured my lips. He had been kissing me more frequently lately, and for longer durations. I just wanted to give you more time to accept me. The temperature under the covers rose. In the darkness, Adrian's breathing was slightly uneven, his voice husky. My heart was pounding thud, 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 interrupting me, but I thought of the puppy sleeping peacefully at the foot of the bed. When we returned to the country, Adrian hadn't forgotten to bring him along. I thought of the lavender bedding in the room. I thought of the tulips filling the yard outside. All the things I had told him over the past years, he remembered every word. I like you, Adrian Blackwood, I whispered. I tilted my head up and pressed my lips against his. Adrian froze, then immediately took the lead. Naturally, the end result was long spring nights, short days, a sleepless night. 20, but some things are bound to be less than perfect. Too many people attended that birthday banquet, and some rumors inevitably spread. Under every interview video of Adrian, there were ambiguous comments. Tusk, domineering CEO, looks decent but utterly shameless, even his wife. Reply above. He's married, what happened to his wife? Keep it low-key for safety. Keywords, stolen bride. Adrian didn't care. The more you try to suppress such talk, the wilder it gets. But it felt like a fishbone stuck in my throat. Adrian was working late again today. In 3 days, we were returning to France. As I was packing, I suddenly heard a commotion outside the courtyard. Yes, my wife and I are childhood sweethearts, 20+ years of history. How could it just disappear? Look at this photo. Yes, this is the one Adrian Blackwood was caught in at the airport, the one that was completely scrubbed from the internet the next day. Look, does my wife look conscious? Adrian Blackwood pretended to be a little girl 3 years ago to deceive my wife. He clearly has strange fetishes. He's a pervert. My ears were buzzing. Blood rushed to my head. It really was Julian Hastings. He had brought a group of live streaming influencers to the gate of my home with Adrian. Blackwood Corp acts lawlessly. I implore you all to bear witness for me today. I must see my wife. I grabbed the documents I had printed earlier and rushed downstairs, completely forgetting I had sent all the house staff out on errands. I was home alone, completely forgetting that after the car crash, the intense media interviews caused secondary trauma. Facing cameras, I couldn't utter a single word. It turns out when you want to protect something, your strength can be immense. I walked straight out and opened the main gate. Josie! Julian looked overjoyed. Before he could utter a third word, I stepped forward and slapped him across the face. Julian Hastings, take a good look at yourself. Who gave you the confidence to think I wouldn't leave you? Another slap. And who gave you the courage to slander others and spread rumors? Another slap. I threw the printed chat logs at him. Take a good look, stop defiling the words childhood sweethearts. Finally, I tossed the audio player into his arms. It was playing the recording of the phone call he made to me the night I left. Redemption. What bullshit. I was so damn annoyed by her those years. If my mom hadn't forced me, I wouldn't have bothered with her. Marriage, guess why? Julian's face turned deathly pale. He frantically pressed the pause button. 21. But the mess he created wasn't so easily paused. The live stream was cut off, and all clips were deleted completely. What circulated widely were the various chat screenshots Sylvia had sent me that year, showing her conversations with Julian. The internet marveled at the bizarre nature of the pair. Soon, Sylvia, who had been lying low, was thoroughly exposed. Someone even dug up that she lived in the mansion Julian gave her, wore luxury goods Julian bought her, pretending to be a rich girl, while simultaneously trying to hook up with other wealthy heirs. Adrian was generally a businessman who stuck to business and hadn't deliberately targeted the Hastings family. After this fiasco, he cut off all cooperation between Blackwood Corp and the Hastings. A couple of days later, Eleanor Hastings called me. We didn't manage Julian well. I'm sorry, Josie. Could you possibly, for the sake of all these years? Auntie Eleanor, I interrupted her. It's true you took care of me for many years. But over these years, I also listened to you, gradually handing over my parents' businesses to the Hastings family. I never owed you anything. Adrian and I proceeded with our original plan, prepared to return to France. The day we left, it was drizzling lightly. Going through security, there was suddenly a commotion. Julian Hastings had appeared out of nowhere again, covered in mud and rainwater. A complete mess. Josie, he grabbed my suitcase handle. The floor was slippery and he fell right in front of me. Josie, please don't go, okay? 22. Adrian's face showed utter disgust, but he merely glanced at his watch and gave a subtle signal to the people around him. The crowd, pulling out phones, ready for gossip, was quickly dispersed. Julian clung tightly to my suitcase. Josie, listen to me. There have been so many misunderstandings between us. That phone call, Sylvia made it to you, not me. I didn't even know. I was drunk and bragging back then I was never annoyed with you. Marrying you, I really liked you. Telling Sylvia those things, I lost my head for a moment. It was. Yes, she was manipulative. She seduced me. I didn't really want to divorce you either. Didn't I say I had a surprise for you? I planned to propose to you again the very next day. Josie, everything was just a series of unfortunate events. That night, I was planning to go to the apartment to find you. It was that idiot Colin Jennings who insisted on dragging me out for drinks. Yes, it's always someone else's fault, I said. I looked down at his tears. The condoms were slipped into your pocket by someone else. The bed, someone else pushed you onto it. Those demeaning, humiliating words about me, they just came out of your mouth because you were possessed by a ghost. I spoke such long sentences without even pausing now. Julian Hastings, you just thought I couldn't live without you. So you belittled, ignored, despised. Mocking me, suppressing me, has become the only way you can find a sense of existence in your failed life, hasn't it? The Hastings family had 2 sons. The elder took over the family business entirely. The second son was irresponsible, playing around. It wasn't that he didn't want to do well, he wasn't capable. The only thing worth talking about in his life was that he once accompanied a girl, made her depend on him wholeheartedly, trust him completely. Let go. Don't let our childhood friendship end too ugly. Julian's hand trembled violently. He let go. Josie, give me one more chance, okay? This time I'll definitely. He reached out to grab my hand. I quickly moved away. You're filthy. Julian's words stopped abruptly. I pulled my suitcase and turned away. Adrian was standing not far ahead. I linked my arm through his. Behind me suddenly came the sound of wailing. 23. For a long, long time after that, I never saw Julian Hastings again. I only occasionally heard snippets about him and Sylvia from my roommates. Sylvia's scandal blew up. Several wealthy heirs, including Julian, sued her together. She was expelled from university, never getting her diploma. Whether the lawsuit ultimately went anywhere, no one knew. Julian was kicked out of the Hastings family, perhaps to appease Adrian Blackwood, or perhaps because Eleanor Hastings' business wasn't doing well and she blamed him. All his cards were canceled, all assets under his name reclaimed. He was told to go out and find work himself. Rumor had it the young master, who once bought $1,000,000 haute couture without blinking, now scrimped and saved just to buy a bottle of alcohol. Someone also said they saw him and Sylvia fighting on the street. Two equally destitute people, even if they beat each other bloody, no one paid attention. My work went smoothly. My students increased from 1 to 2, then 2 to 4. Soon I had a whole class of children. My language learning was also progressing reasonably well. Although its 15 tenses often made my head spin, I could at least manage daily conversation. During our first spring festival in France, Adrian took me skiing. As we sped down the slopes of the Alps, I screamed at the top of my lungs. At night, we lay in a hotel in the valley, counting stars. Every star is someone who loved us. Adrian Blackwood, aren't you going to tell me the story of Angel yet? That night, Adrian took me back to the country, back to the capital, back to the old family house that hadn't been opened in years. There was a room there, covered in drawings of pink bunnies. 24. Adrian Blackwood had a younger sister. 10 years younger than him, she loved rabbits the most. As she got older, she loved pink rabbits the most. She often said she came from the rabbit planet to save the world, but she didn't seem very lucky. Her mother died at her birth. When she was 8, her father passed away. She watched her brother grapple and fight with their predatory uncles. Exhausted. She was here to save the world, so she definitely couldn't be a burden to her brother. So when the household staff abused her, she didn't make a sound. When classmates mocked and bullied her because of her mutism, she only smiled at Adrian. The one with mutism was never Adrian. It was her. To hide her condition, she often wrote notes to Adrian. Brother, school is still more fun. I won't come home this summer vacation. Take good care of yourself. Brother, I made another good friend today. Another happy day. Brother, I learned how to make small cakes. Put them in the fridge, remember to eat them, but the last note she left for Adrian was, Brother, Earth is too hard. I'm going back to the rabbit planet, don't worry. I'll come back to see you often. Adrian was too busy. School, the company, everywhere was a battlefield. But when the war ended, all that awaited him was a cold body at the bottom of a lake. She had actually tried to save herself. She joined many support groups. Depression support groups, mutism support groups. Many people had added her as a friend. But they were people struggling themselves. How could they help others? Most chatted for 2 or 3 days, then disappeared. Until many, many years later, I clicked on her pink bunny avatar and sent a friend request. Sister, add me please. Sister, are you busy? Sister, it's another sunny day. Can I be lucky enough to get accepted as your friend? Adrian said I was too noisy. Year after year, he kept his sister's WeChat account active, fantasizing that maybe one day she would really come back. But his sister never came back. Instead, a chatty older sister arrived. He accepted the friend request. Watched her, day after day, tirelessly sharing her life. He wondered if she had appeared 10 years earlier, would his sister have had a different ending? Later, he even wondered, was she perhaps a gift sent to him by his sister? He was too lonely. Far from home, atoning day after day for his perceived failings towards his sister. The voice from his phone was the only color in his life. Unfortunately, she was someone else's wife. Now you are my wife." Adrian looked at the brightest star next to the moon. "Do you think it's really true that she sent you as a gift? Has she forgiven me? She never blamed you." I kissed away the tear at the corner of his eye. "She's an angel who saved the world. She saved you, and she saved me too." Adrian held me tightly. "Josie, I love you. I love you very, very much. The greatest regret in life is when the one you love is entrusted to the wrong person. The greatest fortune in life is when I love you and you just happen to fall into the palm of my hand."